Welcome to another edition of Ghosts Are Near, where we discuss various aspects of the paranormal and paranormal research. I am your host, Keith Johnson. With me is my co-host, Sandra Johnson.
Hello.
We are the founders of New England Anomalies Research, also known as N.E.A.R. Our other co-host, Carl, my brother Carl, was unable to join us for this episode. He is at a meeting, but we hope to have him back next week with us. In the meantime, I'd like to show you our new logo, which we have just received, courtesy of the talents of Tammy Melville, who is a member of New England Anomalies Research.
I think she did just an excellent job on this. This is great. We've got the angel in one corner. We've got a demon on the other corner.
I like the way that we have the lock there where it locks together, the gate locks together.
Yes, yes. She does have some excellent creative ability.
Yeah. Good work, Tammy. Excellent.
Yes, thank you.
Now, in this episode, we're going to do some discussion on one of our recent investigations, a field investigation, actually. It was at the ruins of Shad factory in Rehoboth, which has rather a haunted history. Now, we first learned about the history of Shad factory through a book by Charles Turek Robertson, which came out circa 1994, called the New England Ghost Files. So that was right up our alley.
Very interesting book.
Yes.
I recommend it.
Yep. One of the chapters was about the Shad factory ghost sightings. And Sandra, would you give us a little history on the Shad factory itself?
Well, the mill was originally known as the Orleans Cotton Manufacturing Company. It's located on the shore of Shad Factory Pond, makes sense, on Reed Street in Rehoboth, Mass. It was destroyed by fire in 1884, and this fire was suspicious. It's assumed that it was arson related.
Yes, there's not really much left of it, is there?
Very little. A few stones, wall here and there. Very much overgrown with foliage, trees. It's very hard to see. Unfortunately, we did our investigation in the summertime, and it was even harder to see what's left of the site. Next time we visit, it will have to be fall or winter, so we can get a better look.
Yeah, extremely overgrown. And I think even more so than Ramtail, which is way out in the middle of the woods.
Which we will be visiting at some point.
Yes, yes indeed. Yeah. What is it with these mill sites that are haunted?
Well, I think in both cases, it's a matter of some sort of tragedy happening at the site.
Yeah, there seems to be a common denominator that there's some sort of tragedy that took place years ago. Whatever happened is not as well documented as the Ramtail case. But Shad Factory is supposedly haunted and was destroyed by fire. And there is a spirit seen there. And he's been seen by several credible witnesses at least. And also it's by running water. It's by a body of water, so that seems to be a common energy source.
We do find that in a lot of instances where there are hauntings. One of the questions that we often ask our clients as part of the interview process is, do you live near a body of water? Have a lot of the phenomena taken place in or near a bathroom? Because that water source does seem to feed the phenomena for whatever reason.
Yes. How often have we heard, you're going to think I'm crazy, but my bathroom's haunted.
Many times.
Yeah, but it is true. It's a source of running water, and that is an energy source. And that is why some of these mill sites do seem to be powered by some sort of energy source. And why don't you give us a little history on the haunting itself?
Well, as we read in the New England Ghost Files, two of the people who have encountered this haunting, in the book they're called Ted and Anita. I don't think that's their real names.
No,
but,
those are pseudonyms.
Well, anyway, they have lived in the area for approximately 30 years. One evening at sunset, they saw an old man in old-fashioned clothing standing across the pond from them. He was staring at them. They waved to him. He didn't respond. When they looked again, he had vanished. Ted and Anita approached the mill. There was no trace of the old man that had been there. They should have been able to see him leave. There's only one path leading out of that area, so they should have seen him when he left that area. They actually went back to the site the next evening. The old man appeared for them again, the apparition. The same exact thing happened with him just vanishing. They did try to get his attention, but he just sort of faded from view in front of their eyes. Of course, this was across the pond. That was their viewpoint. But this is what they claim to have have observed.
Then, according to the story, Anita went back following morning by herself, and it was about 11 a.m. She was there at the mill site, and she again saw the elderly man. She waved to him. She even called to him, but he didn't respond. She assumed he may have been hard of hearing and perhaps visually impaired. And then he was gone again. This time, however, she began getting a strange feeling that something was watching her. She turned around, and there he was. He had apparently biolocated. He was standing immediately behind her. As shocked as she was, she tried to communicate with him, but he just would not speak. The impression she received from him, though, was this overwhelming feeling of sorrow. He had this immensely sad expression. Now, she did see him several more times, and she came there a year later, and there he was again. And again, he appeared in back of her. Her husband, Ted, went with her several more times, and they did see this apparition or whatever again. Each time, he would seemingly vanish. Sometimes while they were watching him, he would just seemingly vanish into thin air. Now, nothing is known of the history where this man or this apparition could be associated with the mill itself. Anita has a theory that perhaps he was involved in the fire somehow. Perhaps he was a victim, or perhaps he was responsible for arson. We don't know. We can only speculate on that. However, because of the nature of this alleged haunting, we decided to go and check it out ourselves. Now, it wasn't just out of curiosity we went there. We wanted to see if somehow we could establish some sort of communication, if there is somebody in distress there, or if there's anything to it at all. We wanted to see for ourselves. So what better way than to do that firsthand? So recently, we went there as a group, New England Anomalies Research, and we did some exploring for ourselves. And as we pointed out, it was extremely, extremely overgrown. Beautiful, beautiful area.
It was very, very beautiful. And we were there at dusk, and there were lots of bats flying around. That
Oh,
was
yes.
interesting.
Yeah. Lots of bats. Quite a feeding source. A lot of insects there, too. What were the weather conditions?
It was actually, I would say, cool for a summer night, but it was clear. So it was good. It was, I would say, very good conditions for an investigation.
Right. With lots of insect repellent.
Yes. we didn't want any mosquitoes biting us. They're carrying a lot of diseases these days. Eastern equine encephalitis.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of scary things.
Yes. Fortunately, we came through unscathed.
Yes.
As far as we know.
And it is kind of a dangerous spot if you don't know where you're stepping, which we didn't, so we proceeded with utmost caution. There are a couple of drop-offs. If you're there at night, please be careful where you step, and we basically stayed on the trail and the pathway and the road in front of the factory as well. And there's a couple of walls there. There's a little ditch where it might have been the water source there that powered the mill.
Right, exactly. But the thing I want to bring up again, and stress is the fact that we didn't go there just to be legend trippers and to see if we could get EVPs or photographic evidence or these kinds of things. When I first read the story, it struck me that something that the witnesses describe in all cases is this extreme feeling of sadness that emanates from this apparition. And I don't know if anything has been attempted in the past with regards to trying to figure out what kind of entity this is. Is it indeed a human spirit? And I know Anita, the person who's encountered the spirit the most number of times, her theory is that the spirit was the arsonist that burned the mill down, and his guilt has kept him in the area attached to that site. I guess that's one possibility. Another possibility is that he's not what he appears to be at all. That he could be some kind of inhuman spirit that's attached to that site, elemental or what have you. But the thing that struck me when I read this was that, gee, I wonder if anyone has ever attempted, leading this entity to where it needs to go.
Right.
Whether it be a human spirit that's attached to the area for some reason, or something that doesn't belong there, some negative entity that should also be shown.
Right.
Its way.
Right.
Away.
What we'd like to do now is we're going to try to show you some footage of our actual investigation. It's about 5 minutes long, where you'll actually see us on the site, and we'll speak about our conclusions while we're there. And it is sunset, and shortly thereafter was very dark in the area because of the overgrowth of the foliage and everything. But if you'd like to watch our prompter, take a look at some footage of our recent investigation at the Shad factory. We'll see if it comes up.
We will.
So we're nearby the place where the apparition has been reported. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What exactly has been reported?
I guess across pond silhouettes, images, and then walking in front of the factory.
Didn't he seem to relocate very quickly?
I think he did. From my understanding, he was probably seen from across this area, this direction, towards the ruins. When was the last time it was sighted? Do you have any idea?
I think it was about 94, something like that. It's a while ago.
Was it one person? One
Two
man?
people.
Two people?
What, that was seen?
That was seen.
That was seen was one apparition of one older man, and he looked very sad, very sorrowful, and he people who saw him reported that they felt overwhelmed with sorrow just by looking at him and getting a glimpse of him, like he was emitting some kind of tragedy or tragic feeling. But then they turned to leave, and he had seemed to have relocated very spontaneously. He was suddenly in front of them from another angle, as if he was really trying to get their attention. So that's what was reported. Nobody seems to know what his origin was or why he may be haunting this place, allegedly. Hopefully, we'll come away with some sort of evidence tonight.
Looking forward to catching some.
Right. Well, let's check over this way, see if anybody else has found anything.
Sounds good. Let's do it. I told you it was an orb. I said it was an orb.
Yeah, but there's a lot of moisture out
It's not a bug, y'all. No, that's an orb.
See the one on Michael's shirt? It's taken already. Okay. Yeah. It's a lot of moisture on there. A lot of humidity.
Michael was feeling the spiderweb effect.
But I did go in the bushes over there too. So
Did you get-
I might have dragged.
Something with you?
Rob, are you experiencing something here?
Yeah, actually, I kept on. I was talking over there with everybody else, and I kept on feeling this drawer over here in this area, and I felt that there was a presence actually watching us and listening to us. And I saw it down on the ground part of it was almost like a starlight look, a couple of flashes, and I kept looking for the flash, light, but it wasn't. There's nothing here now as I'm looking. So, I don't know. It's just very interesting that it was just coming in the direction of the mill, as we were talking.
And you were kind of drawn to this area?
Yes, very. Kept turning over my head. I just felt like someone was looking over at me and just listening and watching. Still feel it.
Tonight I actually had a sensation of a cobweb-like feeling on the back of my arm, but I'm not sure if it was from earlier venturing into the bushes, and I was wiping them off after I came out of the bushes. So it would be up to, that's a 50-50 on that one. It would be hard to say. Besides that, I've felt really nothing tonight.
Haven't experienced anything. I was hoping that we might see the apparition that's been reported here, or at least possibly get a sense of the emotion that's been experienced in the area. We know that the apparition, the elderly gentleman, has exuded a lot of sadness when he has been encountered. And we didn't encounter him, but we're still looking.
I did have the sensation on the back of my arm, but I was very close to the bushes over there too, and it's dark, so I don't know if I actually had, walked through something prior.
Let's all please gather together. In the name of our Lord, we came here in peace, and we depart in peace, taking nothing with us which may be harmful or unholy. By the grace of God, if there are any wandering spirits here, may they finally find peace and rest. Amen. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
On to our next destination.
Wish that was better quality. That's such a good shot.
Welcome back. Now, as you saw from the footage, we didn't really find anything which we could say was definite or conclusive.
No EVPs.
No.
Photographic anomalies.
Right. But then again, what are the chances that we go there the first time and the phenomena just pokes right out at us?
Right. This investigation was just one night. We will be going back at some point. Hopefully when there is less foliage and it's easier to see the ruins of the mill.
Now, as you could see in the footage, I also did a little prayer at the end where I do a protective blessing as we leave any site which is potentially haunted. and that's basically for our own protection, that we don't bring anything home with us, and we've been very lucky by the grace of God so far that we haven't brought anything from a supposedly haunted location with us, although many do, seemingly do.
Right, and we do that at the conclusion of any investigation that we do, client investigation, field investigation, such as this one. We always do a closure like that. But the other thing is, you didn't do just a closure.
Right.
You also try to help, whatever entity may be there to move on to the next plane where it's supposed to be.
Right.
Which was our aim in going to that site in the first place.
Right. Only time will tell about that. But Sandra, I'd like to ask you to read the author's note at the end of this chapter.
Oh, okay. Ted and Anita are not the only witnesses to the apparition. At least 4 other Rehoboth residents report seeing the strange old man standing in the mill ruin. In one case, the man was seen to be hovering several feet above the ground, which I find very interesting. Is it just the spread of local folklore that accounts for so many alleged separate sightings? No one can say for certain, but the 4 additional witnesses interviewed by this author, like Ted and Anita, related their accounts thoughtfully and credibly. The other interesting thing that we encountered on the investigation, well, not necessarily that we encountered, but that our investigator, Rob, said that he actually did feel as if at one point something seemed to be watching, and he felt like he was being watched from the woods.
Yes, he was definitely getting that impression.
When we were standing in the clearing.
And Rob does tend to be sensitive that way, and I tend to trust his intuition. I mean, he has been right on occasion where he's felt something, and later on the information has been verified. So he may have been picking up on something indeed. But what's also curious about Ted and Anita there. Now, it certainly wasn't Keith and Sandra there, because what would we have done differently?
Well, first of all, the apparition wouldn't have appeared to you because we just don't have that kind of luck. I think they're afraid of you.
Also, we have protection, yeah.
We don't get as much photographic evidence. And we certainly don't see a lot of apparitions, and I think they're just intimidated by you.
Well, thank God we have a great deal of protection on our side as well.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, but also, I mean, they saw this spirit several times over the course of a number of years, and if that were me, I would be coming there with all sorts of recording devices.
Where was their camera?
I mean, the spirit supposedly repeatedly appeared in back of Anita. Couldn't she have just held up a camera or a camcorder, and the worst she could have gotten was nothing, you know? And she tried to communicate with it and everything, but she didn't try to get any sorts of EVPs or anything.
No, but the thing that was interesting about that, when she did try to talk to this entity, was that he did seem to want to respond to her. The feeling that she got was that for some reason he couldn't communicate with her. Something was holding him back. There was something in between them.
Yes, like he seemed so dismayed because he wanted to communicate with her, but he
desperately
couldn't. And he just, at one point, walked away sadly before vanishing.
Which makes it even more interesting. It would have been interesting if she had been recording those sessions, doing audio recordings, to see if he may have been able to communicate that way.
Yes.
Maybe not face to face. Maybe there's some wall in between, the plane where he is and where we are. But that would have been interesting if I know we didn't get any EVPs, but we didn't really. Yeah. We didn't see anything either.
What's also interesting, that whole area of Rehoboth there seems to be haunted in one form or another. There's the red-headed phantom of Route 44. We could probably do a whole show on that.
And we will.
Yes, right. There's N.E.A.R Rock,
Yes.
Site of a famous
That's
battle.
not that far away
Yeah.
from the mill site.
You know, and I know my brother Carl has been at Shad Factory, and he's been to N.E.A.R. He didn't experience anything at Shad Factory. He was there a number of years ago, a couple of times. But he did experience some phenomena at N.E.A.R, which a lot of people claim to. He heard kind of a chanting and drum beats in the background, even
Right.
though no one was in the area that he was aware of.
Well, one of the investigators actually got that on tape, if
Yes.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Was it Mike Dion or Brian Hunwar? I can't remember.
I think they both did. And
both did.
I know Brian had an anomaly on film, and Mike Dion did get some recordings there. And it's when you've checked the area out and you know there's no one else around, and so there could be something there.
That'll have to be our next stop.
Yes, definitely. So, Sandra, maybe you'd like to talk a little bit about what's on the horizon for New England Anomalies Research and our contact info?
Well, I think our next show will be another location show where we're going to be traveling down to Penn State University. We're going to be seeing some lectures there and meeting some familiar faces, and hopefully we'll get them on camera. And that'll be our next show, as I said. As always, we'd like you to know that we at New England Anomalies Research are available to look into alleged hauntings, assist those of you who may be experiencing unexplained phenomena in your home or place of business. We'd also like to hear from you if you have a show suggestion, someplace you'd like us to visit, or would you like to be a guest on Ghosts Are Near? Get in touch with us if you'd like to be a guest. So give us a shout out at Ghosts Are Near at inbox.com. We'll believe you.
I'm really looking forward to the Penn State Convention as well. It should be very interesting. They have a number of wonderful speakers there.
Yes.
Yeah.
You for one.
Well,
Your brother for
I'll
another.
be speaking. Yes. Yep. Carl and I will be speaking there, and
Our own Andrew Graham.
yes. Yep. Andrew
Speaking
Graham will
on,
be there speaking on string theory. Extremely complicated. It is so far beyond me, and that's in layman's terms. You know that I just barely have a grasp of it, but it is extremely, extremely interesting.
Yes, and we've seen him do that presentation before, and it was very interesting.
We'll have to have him back just to speak about string theory sometime for an episode.
That's an idea.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I think we're good.
Okay.
This'll do.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. As always, God bless you, and hope to see you next time. And remember, we want to hear from you. Good night.